Hello, I'm Mike Hayes. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some really cool ways of practicing scales. In fact, we'll be borrowing some ideas of two musicians who really do have their jazz act together. Charlie Parker and Joe Pass. And we won't be just applying these ideas to any old scales, we'll be applying them to the Barry Harris style scales that we've been learning recently. So without any further ado, let's get started. Before we get into the physical side of practicing the guitar, let's take a moment to have a look at the mental preparation that goes into a successful practice session. After all, the guitar is the last link in the chain. If we get this part of the practice session right, everything will go smoothly. First up on our checklist is make sure that you're clear about the value of the material and its relevance to you. Being clear on this one point alone will literally save you hundreds of hours of wasted time. So before you dive into your next practice session, it's a great idea just to stop for a moment and ask yourself, why do I want to know this material that I'm studying? And how am I going to use it? Now, when you can answer those questions, you're already more than halfway there to a successful practice session. Number 2 on our checklist. Concentrate on mastering a small amount of material at one time. It's a great idea to just work on 4 to 6 notes at a time and really master them, and when you're ready, move on to learning some more notes. Number 3 on our checklist. Work within short time frames and take frequent rest breaks, especially with mental learning. So there you have it. What we're setting out to do is form a new habit, the habit of successful learning. It's even helpful if you can practice at the same time each day. That way you're mentally prepared to learn new material. The next step is to warm up your brain and get it into guitar mode. And to do that, I use these guitar maps. The idea is that you'd select a note and then find that note on every string of the guitar. And I use these little shapes to help me find them. For example, I'm using these shapes to help me find all the Fs on the guitar. Notes of the same colour equal the same pitch. So even though I've found 6 Fs, which was my objective, I'm also learning which Fs sound the same. Here's an example of the note G, where I'm looking to find all the Gs on the guitar. And here's one more example where I'm locating the note A on each of the 6 strings of the guitar. When you think about it, what we're setting out to do is learn the language of music and apply it to the guitar fingerboard. So if we can get the guitar fingerboard under control, it makes the whole process a lot easier. Okay, time to get practicing on the guitar. I mentioned in the introduction to this video that we'd be practicing scales in a similar manner to Joe Pass and Charlie Parker. So let's have a look at what I mean by that. We'll be using the dominant bebop scale, which is a scale that we've been practicing recently, and we've been using that in conjunction with the Barry Harris method. And one of the things that we found is that bebop players generally play the scales in a descending fashion. So that's how we'll be practicing the scales in this session. Now, a concept that Joe Pass mentioned as a good way of practicing scales is that if you play the chord first, that's the chord that's related to the particular scale that you're practicing. If you play that chord first, then play the scale, and then play the chord again at the end. So the chord actually acts as bookends to the sound of the scale. So let's put this to work straight away. I'm playing a C7th chord, because the scale that I'm practicing is a C dominant bebop scale. And the particular voicing that I'm using has the note C as the top note of the chord. So I'm playing the C7th chord first, then playing the descending C dominant bebop scale, and then finishing off with the chord. And this is an important concept because it relates the sound of the scale to a particular harmony. Now, we all know that Charlie Parker practiced a lot, and one of the interesting ways that he practiced scales is that he'd play the scales chromatically. In other words, if he started on a C scale, the next scale he'd practice would be C sharp, and then the next scale would be D, and so on. And this was one of the things that contributed to his ability to be able to play a song in all 12 keys. So here we go. We're going to combine both methods. We're going to combine the concept of playing a chord, then playing a scale, and then playing the chord again. And then we're going to move all of that up one semitone and repeat the same process again. Here we go. Okay, for this next example, we're going to look at some different ways that we can create melodies out of our scales. I don't know about you, but I've never woke up in the morning humming a G Mixolydian mode. But of course, we all hear little melodies in our head all day. And of course, if we could get those melodies on the fingerboard, we'd be really getting somewhere. What I'm going to do is to create little designs that alter the sequence of the notes of the scale, and this will inspire different melodies. So if we take a G Mixolydian mode, I'm going to create an X. So I'm going to take the bottom 3 strings of the guitar and I'm going to take the outside notes of the scale. I'm not worried about what the notes are, and I'm not thinking like that at all. I'm just creating a design. And you'll find these patterns everywhere if you start looking. For example, here's another G Mixolydian fingering pattern, and I'm going to use the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings in this fingering pattern to create another X design. Here's a C Mixolydian fingering pattern, And I'm going to create another one of these elongated X patterns. Okay, I'm sure you've got the idea. I'm going to play a 12-bar blues in G, and I'm going to create a melody out of using this elongated X shape. Here we go. And the good news is it won't sound like a scale. Well, that's it for today, folks. I do hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope there's something in this lesson that'll help you develop your own musical style on guitar. If you enjoyed this session and felt you got some value out of it and you'd like to support this channel, there's a link in the description below this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the good stuff. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like. It really helps us out. Until next time, all the very best with your guitar playing. Bye for now.